take the content of whatever speech it was that's off the table, kids being shot in schools or otherwise. I think there's two kinds of ways to worry. If you're worried about the spread of misinformation or false facts, one is let's deal with the content of the speech itself. And Elon talked about community notes as being, imperfect though it is, maybe the best method out there on the internet. And I think that's one set of discussions to have. That's quite a different thing from what the law certainly looks at as the most draconian First Amendment violation, which is what it calls a prior restraint, which is to previously just restrain a person from speaking, period. And I think that is, no matter what the content of the speech is, it's quite a different thing to say that because of who you are or what you have said in the past, you may not say another thing in the future. And so I just think that those are two different concepts. And I just, for one, just wanted to share my experience of my Alex Jones experience, if I may.
That is perfectly said. Yeah. That's because you don't cut somebody's tongue out.
Yeah.
Even if I did bad things in the past. And
but you know what? But if people say false things, they deserve to have the consequences for that particular speech aired out in the marketplace of opinions. And community notes is one feature of doing that. And I think that's a legitimate discussion to have. But the idea, first of all, let's just make the observation that if somebody has once said a bad thing, then they'd be restrained from speaking. Most people who have been in a position of prominence in the U.S. federal government would not be allowed to speak again in other forums if that was the standard we were applying. Right. I mean, you think about anybody who's been in the CIA or the FBI in a position of saying that the Hunter Biden laptop story was false or COVID didn't start in a lab in China. So we could go down that whole rabbit hole. But,
Well, yeah. I mean, as Alex said earlier, I mean, and this is not meant to be any kind of attack on George Bush, but George Bush II did say that there were WMDs in Iraq. He said it not once, but many times. And that,
and a lot.
He did not have sufficient evidence to make that.
And a lot more people died as a consequence of that statement.
Exactly.
That Alex Jones has incorrectly. But Alex, I think one other thing I just wanted to share with people is that I was actually just curious about this guy, Alex Jones. I'd never met him, but I happened to be in Texas. I visited the southern border, and I popped in Austin on the way back, or somewhere, I forget where we were, and I heard Alex Jones that's where he was. I said, I want to meet this guy that everybody says don't meet. And so we sat down, and I was actually surprised, and we actually aired it on X, or I put out clips of it on X. I can't remember, in like a podcast format. And so I was expecting to get into debate about the Sandy Hook thing. And as soon as I open up, what I get is a guy apologized for being wrong. And then we moved on and talked about something else. And so for me, it was just interesting and eye-opening. And I think it would be interesting and eye-opening for a lot of people as well to sort of know that there are people who would have ever thought, made some mistakes, said some things that were wrong, and said some other things that were dead right that nobody else was saying either. And the way that we get to the bottom of what's true is actually hearing one another. And when people say something false, they deserve to be held accountable for it. So I think it's a cool thing that, hopefully we're able to have more of that rather than less because of the existence. I mean, if this platform didn't exist, that avenue of sorting out bad speech through more speech doesn't really exist on the internet or in our culture. And so I think that's, in response to Ed, a good thing, not a bad thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.